Welcome back now for the fourth of 5 classifications in the freestyle competition on this final day of para dressage here at the World Equestrian Games in the Tryon Stadium on a lovely sunny day, ready for the 8 riders to begin their quest for gold. Those are the 8, of course, the individual champion, Stina Kastrup, Pepe Puig from Austria, I should say, right in the mix for medals. Nicole Den Dog, part of the all-conquering Netherlands team this week. Those may be the 3 vying for the gold medal, but you never know, because we've seen some very interesting results today, with America picking up a couple of bronze, Japan a bronze medal as well. Delighted to say, joining us in the commentary position, the most decorated World Equestrian Games para dressage rider, Sir Lee Pearson, joins us, and of course he does ride at grade 2 level. Sadly didn't work out for him earlier in the week with his new but very exciting horse. Lee, welcome to the commentary position. Is this an unusual, because we know that you're not usually short of a word or two, but have you done this thing before?
I don't know what you mean, really. No, this is very unusual to be outside the boards and talking about dressage as opposed to being in there, but a great honour. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a privilege, and obviously you with your silver medal, but from this is the grade you compete at. You know these people, but actually you'd normally be out there in the collecting ring, so for you actually to watch these tests, this is definitely different, isn't it?
I've normally got half an eye on them in the collecting ring, thinking they look far too good and I should leave and go home, and just a great opportunity for me to watch the tests that are going to unfold.
Well, the first of the competitors in from Italy, just they've of course half an hour ago was celebrating gold with Sarah Morganti in grade 1. It's Murillo Vaccaro, who finished 5th in the individual, riding Bonaire van der Myrtelheuvel, and a 17-year-old gelding, 66 he called. And just the early, of course, in the grade 1, it's just about the walk, but here, up the difficulty again with trot and various other elements.
Yeah, transitions, compulsory movements, so it's quite difficult to get the higher scores of the grade 1 against the grade 1 riders because of the transitions and the complexities of the compulsories. But Murillo's doing really well here, maybe a little bit fast in the trot work.
And the other thing is, you know, a lot about the music, and as you say, it is a much tougher discipline.
Because also with the transitions and the different paces, you've got to have different musics. The walk is a 4-beat rhythm and the trot is a 2-beat rhythm. So yeah, you've also got to complete the compulsories, but
well, just at the moment we are watching Bonaire van der Myrtelheuvel just continuing the early stages, the Italian rider. And again, you have to do certain moves, but you basically, in more or less the order you want to, but there are some...
There's compulsory movements, and within that you can add a degree of difficulty if you wish, but it's not scored. But the overall rider movement would be influenced if you had added a little bit of degree of difficulty. Within this grade, the compulsories are 2 walk, 8-meter volte circles, leg yielding, which Murillo is doing as we speak, and 2 20-meter circles in trot, and length and strides in the trot, and a free walk on a long rein, but they've reworded it a stretch on a longer rein now.
We do like to test you about your musical recognition every so often.
Oh, please don't. Horses, yes. Music, absolutely not. So you can see here he's quite active, but if anything, running on a little bit too fast. The rhythm is a bit varied with the horse, and he's struggling to cope with that speed a bit, but it's great for him to have the activity. But I'm loving the music, but don't ask me what it is.
I don't know either.
I forgot to add, we also have a 3-loop serpentine, which is what Murillo is now doing as a compulsory movement. beautiful transition with the music down to the walk. Ideally, the judges would like to see even bigger pace, where their horse overtracks in the walk, the hind leg replaces beyond where the foreleg leaves the ground and the horse stretches forward. I always say, as if you're finishing a long hack and your horse has got a bucket of feed out there in front of you on the ground. Horse is getting a little bit deep in the outline now, but staying active.
And now at the final
So first of these 8 riders in this Grade 2, that is Murillo Vaccaro. And he's smiling away. Did you think of a good start to your, what were you would normally, well, your grade?
I think that was a pleasant test. The halt finished with the music and heading in the right direction. Sometimes that's a bonus if you've got a bit muddled up. There's degrees of free in the freestyle, and it was slightly out behind, but I think the judges will quite like it. I imagine high 60s, low 70s.
Well, he's got lots of supporters, has the Italian rider, and obviously from their perspective, been a very good week for them, particularly with Sarah Morganti dominating the Grade 1s this week here in Tryon and winning. And they're coming out, giving it the wave to the spectators in the near the in-out area of this ring. People talk about this being quite an intimate ring. I mean, so you've ridden in it a couple of them. What?
Yeah. My experience of the arena, I've really enjoyed being in the arena, despite Tuesday not going to plan. But I think that was more the mare just having a little opinion about the humidity and the heat. And it was her first championship. But the environment of the arena, as scary as it can look from a ride from the outside, the fact that there's grandstands all the way around and there's activity all the way around means the horses don't focus on one particular area.
Well, and obviously your young horse,
yes.
Just mentioning that, I mean, are you feeling positive? I mean, you bred the horse as well, so but there is...
It's all my fault as well.
Well, no, I would... Don't put words in my mouth, but was it all your fault?
Yeah. No, it was a combination of the 3 days of travelling to get here, and we were out here a good weekend in advance before we got in the arena, and training has gone very, very well. Just that particular day, I think she was just saying, "Daddy, I don't feel like doing dressage today." She doesn't know it was the World Championships. She doesn't know how important it was. So I just said, "No, enough's enough." And the horsemanship in me said, "No, you don't feel like doing it today, then we're not doing it
because
today."
This is a long-term project.
Yes, definitely. She's a championship horse. I've also bred 2 half-brothers of her at the same dam, and I've kept one of them, I've retained one of them, a 7-year-old, and he's spectacular in a different way.
Well, now let's see what the opening score is in this particular 66.127. Very much in keeping with where he was around in the individuals. So would that, as you say, marking seems consistent.
Yeah, I think that was fair. It was fair. There was moments that the horse was a little bit quick and out of balance. And the trouble is in our test, this one particular, there's just 2 halts, and then obviously the compulsory movements. And if the halt's out, you're already down on the marks. You could make an extended trot spectacular or a serpentine and gain an 8, but then if you get a 5 for a halt, and it's very difficult as a rider, you come down that centre line and you halt and you try and feel every single limb of that horse and think, are they square? And it's typical, the moment you think they're not square, and we'll just add a bit of engagement to make them square, you're guaranteed your training, your support team will go, it was square, why did you move it? The moment you don't move it, so it's very difficult to get high marks.
Well, if you think it's difficult. But anyway, coming in now from Brazil, they've had a medal-winning day, Rodolfo Riscala. What an exciting week he's had as well, and has shown that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Grade 4. And also rides able-bodied dressage continuing, but as I say, in terms of him, you think 4 years ago he could have been riding in the able-bodied at the World Equestrian Games. Then he had the horrendous illness, and now here he is proving to be very successful. But Marcos Fernandez Alves is the next rider coming in from Brazil, riding a 16-year-old. Vladimir is the horse he's riding. And he scored 64.382 in the opening. Michelle George is on hand training the Brazilians and leading him around, as she has done throughout the week. And obviously hoping, just guiding the horse, telling them to start the music, and away they go. Rodolfo had samba-inspired music, as you would expect for the Brazilians. Wonder where something similar from Marcos. Probably, no, this is not, sounds like a, this is a
I don't dance with a pair of crutches, but is this samba?
No, this is not. This is something from some film somewhere. Help me out, backroom team.
Is it Sound of Music-ish?
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Is it? Charlie, well, anyway.
Don't get me on the innuendos.
No, don't start with you. No. But this is the original one, I think, featuring Gene Wilder. Much better than the second one.
So you can see Marcus then just had a slight bit of tension in the walk, which the judges, it wasn't within a compulsory movement, but it will detract from the rider score slightly.
And to use a reference in the film, he's looking for the golden ticket.
He is certainly hunting for that. So I think Marcus is paralysed and has balance issues. So if you can see closely on his saddle, he has a rigid bar to hold, which he uses for the trot work. It's great for him. He just loses sometimes slight feel and connection to the horse. So he does remarkably well, and he swaps the hands to try and maintain a great connection down the rein. Generally keeping the horse in a really nice balance. The poll on top. And now into the leg yield.
But it also highlights the core strengths that you guys have.
Some of us. And some of us just have no core strength and a lot of balance.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's one of the main areas for the lower grades is lack of core strength, really. And that's where we then have to replace that with balance. And a lot of the riders ride without stirrups because the balance becomes so good and the stirrups become a hindrance. So
do you like what you're seeing?
yes, generally. That was a nice transition. I think that's the free walks. So that would be good if the horse would stretch the nose forward and out. So, but you can see him asking questions down the rein to soften the horse's neck and influence them to go lower and longer. It's very difficult for a lot of riders in this grade and the grade 1 to release the reins when the horse is offering to stretch, because it's very difficult to get the reins back again once you've released them. And his floor plan obviously goes from the free walk back into the trot again. Really enjoying the trot work. And had a slight balance tension area again in the trot there. If you need to tweak your horse, have a little discussion, slow them down, speed them up. If you're crafty, you do it outside a compulsory movement. So for example, in this test, not within a 20-meter circle or the other compulsory movements that we've discussed. Marcus has no movement in his legs whatsoever, so he's using balance and weight aids backed up with touching the horse with the whip to encourage the leg yielding.
At the final salute for Brazil.
So Marcos Alves completing his test, completing his week's action here at Tryon. And will he better his score of 64.382? And just coming out of the arena, rider number 2 completes. This, the penultimate classification. We've got grade 3 still to come on this final Saturday of the World Equestrian Games as we look at Marcos in action. And will the initial score, we got a 66.127. Is he going to beat that, Lee, or what do you think? Not quite.
You're putting me on the spot here, aren't you? 67. I'll go 67.
Well, but this is seeing it, you're seeing it from the other side now.
I'm not a judge.
Well,
I'm not a judge.
Well, so coming out of the arena now, next in as Marcos leads. We're just waiting on his score, but he's waving away to plenty of supporters in the crowd, enjoying this final afternoon of the sport here. And earlier today, we saw Japan secure their first ever Paralympic World Equestrian Games medal. And I would imagine it's probably even ahead of, from the Paralympics as well, winning a bronze medal early on.
It's just brilliant for a British rider. We've led the way, and we've been so lucky with the support we've had to do that. But to see these individual riders and teams from other countries doing so well, it's just brilliant for the sport. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, what it does is it's raised. Okay, the bar was where Great Britain was at.
Yeah.
And everyone now is determined to get there. Yeah. And it means people like you know.
And the Dutch have jumped that bar.
But only by 0.64.
Yeah, yeah. But it is wonderful. We don't just come up with politically correct answers. We love the fact that the variety now and the bar's been raised, and we're proud of our sport.
Well, I think the competition's been unbelievable this week.
Yes.
And the closeness, and this close may not have had the highest marks, but was very competitive. But now Soshi Yoshigawa on his horse Brown Sugar, a 12-year-old mare, begins his test.
Crafty in the halt there. He halted very quickly because perhaps the horse is not so settled in the halt, but it stayed immobile for enough time. He walked slightly before his music then. There was no reason to. He wasn't going into a compulsory. That's just experience and confidence to only change the pace as the music changes. I say that, but he went straight into an 8-metre circle, but he could have started his 8-metre circle just after the F mark. He was a little bit quick in the 20-metre circle, but slowed down afterwards. But a nice balance for the walk.
Well, he's just 18 years of age, though, the young rider, Soshi Yoshigawa. It's a big week for him.
So now the horse is quickening again, like it did on the 20-metre circle. Yes, he's got years before he catches me up in age. And at 18, I was probably a dreadful rider. So you can see the horse is soft in the neck, but if anything, a little bit onto the forehand. Quite difficult to keep a horse soft, but keep the poll on top, the poll being the area between the ears. Beautiful transition. I'm sure many of the spectators know that every arena runs at a different speed with your horse. Or maybe they don't know, I don't know. And you can practice and practice at home your freestyle, but when you go to a different arena with a different surface, it runs at different times. And then there's another art of cutting corners or speeding up slightly but in balance, or slowing down to just maintain, to be in the correct place in the arena to match with your music.
Well, it's just basically the footing, isn't it?
Yes.
Every arena's footing is slightly different. So that's why you have the tests where you have a experience and get used to the footing of whatever arena. And everyone's saying the footing here has been absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant, brilliant, especially with the weather conditions that they've had to deal with. So the leg yielding started good, and he just slightly fell through the shoulder by just losing the straightness on the outside of the horse. And unfortunately, that is a compulsory movement. But the walk itself is also compulsory, so there has to be 20 meters of walking in a straight line. This is a really nice stretch. Really good, staying in front of the vertical and the neck getting lower and lower. And if he comes back into the medium walk in the same rhythm, he's off into trot. Well, that was still a lovely transition.
Well, the 18-year-old, what a week it's been for him. And obviously 2 years down the line, he will be on home soil. It's been great for the Americans picking up a couple of bronze medals here. And already Japan with their first ever para world medal here. And so that suggests that their team is only going in an upward direction. And 18-year-old Sashi Yoshigawa and Brown Sugar.
I love the music. I thought the music was really nice.
And daunting for, I mean, as you say, I don't dare ask how old you are, Lee.
44.
But, 44. But here an 18-year-old embarking on his... Whoops. Oh,
just got a little bit spooked by the audience.
Yeah, well,
he sat it very well.
Oh, very well.
Very, very well. The action doesn't stop for the riders when you leave those white dressage boards.
Because there's quite a noisy crowd at the end, I think. But we've got the score, though, for Marcos Alves, the Brazilian rider, and he scored 65.413. Now we know why Lee's not a judge.
I wasn't just a generous judge. I just admire all the riders that go between those white dressage boards.
Yeah, well, 65.413. Big hand for Japan. I can see a flag being waved as he comes through the arena, but a big moment.
Yeah.
And obviously a team with, and the way that we've mentioned many times that the eventers had a good week as well, the Japanese team, and clearly making a big effort to be competitive come 2 years down the line, and obviously that's where you'll hope you'll be going. Have you been to Japan before?
I have. I was there helping many of these riders a few months ago, actually.
Including Soshi?
I don't think Soshi was there on that particular day. I did 2 days of displays. They provided a horse on day one, and the able-bodied owner was shocked at how well a para rider can get a horse going, because it's not, obviously in Japan, para dressage is still perceived very much kind of as a therapy thing. They haven't quite got their head around the competition side of things. And they've got some really nice riders, and a couple of the riders in other grades I've seen here, and I can see the recommendations. There was one rider that was on a very basic horse, and I said on better horsepower he'll come up with the goods. Well, and he's come up with the goods today, because he scored 61.088 in the individual, but big improvement, 66.18. So that is, he's going to be, well, for an 18-year-old, that's just what you want to see. A big improvement, getting used to it, and he's ended, and his reaction said how pleased he was. But now coming in someone who knows about World Equestrian Games, because she was fourth in Caen when Lee was on his way to winning gold medal she was fourth last year, I should say, in the European Championships with a score of 69.007. And
Well, behind Stina Kastrup, who's going to be going in 2 riders' time. So Jana Kivimäki, who scored 62.294. So Finland again, they had a 3-rider team. And can she improve on the score of the 18-year-old Japanese rider Soshi Yoshigawa? She walks down and round. What's your policy with the judges? A big smile?
That's an awkward question.
Obviously, you're probably quite
I'm a
long.
rider and a trainer. If the judging is slightly out, we often hear the statement, well, that the angle that I saw dictated the score that particular judge gave. From a trainer's perspective, I'm paid to give my full attention to that particular client, and I wouldn't like to do a refund because I said I'd missed something out as a trainer. So it's a difficult one. Maybe if I ever do become a judge, which I probably won't, I could see it from their perspective. But I do feel it's an open arena. You can see a lot. So why do we have the discrepancies that we have?
It's the art form. It's why there are 5 judges to make sure there's...
Yes, and although it's daunting to go in front of 5 judges, I do love the fact that you're getting an average as opposed to someone's individual opinion.
Well, cuts out the margin of error, maybe. Just.
Yeah. And it's not just a problem for para-equestrian, it's for dressage itself.
It's the big debate. But anyway, Jana Kivimäki is coming into the arena. What a dramatic piece of music to kick off with. But in she goes.
And riding, it was very impressive as she came through the gates. She lost some rhythm, leaving the halt. If they were strict, they could mark that down a little. But the 10-meter circle she trotted wasn't a compulsory. Great music. Leg yielding trot is not compulsory, but nicely executed.
Quite fiery music, this, isn't it?
It's keeping us all awake. Quite a fiery horse, actually. Generally a beautiful picture. Nice expression in the length and strides, maybe a little bit of tension in the back and the neck. Beautiful extension.
So Jana Kivimäki, who was 4th in the European Championships last year on a different horse, but she's been riding Legolas this week, this 14-year-old grey. And she was agonizingly close to medals last year in the European Championships with 2 4th places. But will she manage to get into the medals? Now we're through the halfway point of this Grade 2. And now it looks as if we're heading into the 3 or 4 riders who might be thinking about medals. But Jana Kivimäki, as I say, scored 62.294, but still looked quite a nice. I like the music. I like the way the horse went about.
Yeah, I like the music also, and I like the expression and the power of the horse. I think that where the marks will be pulled down is just the contact and the balance issue. You can only add power if your horse is in the best balance it can be, connected to the bridle to cope with that amount of power. And there was just times where there was loss of balance and inconsistency in the contact, and the judges will not make any exceptions because these riders have disabilities that might not be favourable to a good connection.
Well, here's the thing, they're marking the test.
Yes.
Trying to say, well, all the riders are equal, whatever your disability. You're all adjudged to be of Grade 2 classification, so that gives you, that's the level playing field, and we just mark what we see.
The same as dressage. Dressage, I mean, occasionally you might look at Charlotte Carl or any of the international riders, but generally we're always looking at the horse and thinking...
Well, let's bring it up the scores for, well, it's actually the score for Jana Kivimäki here. 67...
67.947.
60, that's been a long 5 days. 67.947. That's a good score, because she scored 62.294, and she will be very pleased with that. So puts her into the lead ahead of Soshi Yoshigawa. Both these two have produced significant improvements on their individual scores, so they'll be a very positive way to end the week.
And looking at the breakdown of the scores, it was the artistic score that was reaching the 70s, and that's what brought the overall score higher.
Well, now we're off with our next rider. She is from the Netherlands, Nicole Dendulk, the 38-year-old on Wallace. Was second in the European Championships, third at the World Equestrian Games behind Lee 4 years ago. And vastly experienced, part of this strong Dutch team this week, and was a bronze medalist in this particular individual as well this week. So expecting big things here. You know her well, and expecting presumably a strong performance.
She's a beautiful person, beautiful rider. She used to be a jockey, and she broke her back, and she was a jockey in England actually, if my memory, which is terrible, serves me correctly. Wonderful and compulsory 20-metre circle there as well. Horse is in a nice balance. She's keeping the ball on top. The rhythm is really good. And the power matches the horse's capabilities and what's required of the test. Nicole has no use of her legs whatsoever. It's all motivated with voice, body positioning.
And the two long little whips which are acting as the stirrups, aren't they?
But as you'll see, no rider uses the whip to whip the horse. They often just touch the horse as a communication aid.
Well, it's like a little stirrup, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
It's just a gentle little, I want you to do X, Y, or Z, whatever it is.
Yep. Very similar to a side saddle rider. They have a cane down one side, which becomes the leg. It's not there. And you can see how experienced that she is, because the horse was preparing to go down to walk and she went, no, carry on, the music has not changed yet. And that shows where the experience is helping with the confidence to say, no, I dictate the speed, the pace, and where we go. And I cannot explain how hot it is in that arena. So when you've got a hot horse and a hot rider, I don't think I've ever experienced heat like it. Just to be sat, even in the shade, you're sweating out there. So even more admiration for the riders. And she's riding for that stretch. She's realizing that she wants an extra point or two. She wants that horse to stretch, and she really pushed the hind leg and encouraged Wally to take that bridle low and long. Amazing timing. Actually at A and with the music.
Wow, that looked pretty good, I would suggest. Nicole den Dulk then, the bronze medalist from earlier in the week, and the bronze medalist from 4 years ago in France, riding Wallace, aka Wally. And well, it's been a golden week for the Dutch this week with all those medals, and you'd be hard pressed to think that there wouldn't be another one heading in the direction of Nicole den Dulk here, who in the Europeans, when winning a silver medal, scored in excess of 76%, behind the next lady who is about to come into the arena. And once again, noisy support from the Dutch contingent in the crowd here.
She's a very, very popular athlete.
Now, well, she's popular. The next lady coming in is equally as popular. There's no two ways about it.
No.
Stine Kastrup, the Danish lady, is making her way in on Horsebow Smarties for Denmark. Was 7th in the WEG 4 years ago, but she was only 20 years of age then. But she, of course, won gold, and it was a great moment. That mascara ran after when she was receiving the gold medal, because there was a big beaming smile coupled with tears of joy And she is a force of human nature in every sense of the word. And
she's got a feisty character. She's a force to be reckoned with. She scares me to death.
Does she?
Yes.
Oh, crumbs. But she does it probably with a smile, doesn't she?
She came over to my house a few years ago. The first time she'd been away, I think, without her parents and abroad. And she's just, a beautiful package of fun. And she doesn't let her disability stop her in one way or another.
What is even more remarkable, she doesn't have much support. I don't think she has any support. It's all, as you were talking about, balance in her case.
I think she has some occasionally, but I can't see now. She has a strap that goes just around her hips, but even I can't see that now.
Well, I
So
think the other
once again,
day she didn't have anything.
Yeah, back to the balance, because, yes, she has a good core. The reason she's in my grade, people could say, well, she's got no legs. How is that fair in comparison to a rider with legs? Well, like Nicole's just left, and she can't use the legs, although they're there. And ours is roughly half the body is affected with some form of disability in grade 2. And her upper body is perfectly got full strength and movement. It's just there is no lower body.
And that's what makes her
remarkable.
And yet she's a gold medalist this week. So coming in to the begin her test from Denmark, Stina Kastrup and Horsbo Smarties.
Unfortunately, he stepped sideways in the halt a little bit, so they might be mean, those judges. Movement. But a lovely, calm, balanced leg yield. And a very rhythmical 8-meter vaulty, both compulsory movements. Probably one of the best serpentines today. Very fluid, very balanced.
And completely in time with the music as well.
She's making me nervous.
What?
She's making me nervous. I can see that she's using her seat to keep the poll on top and keep the horse on his hind legs. There's just moments where he just blocks against that instead of just accepting it through his body. Super transition. Great leg yield. And 8-meter vaulty. I love the music through that transition.
It's not in your face, the music, but it's just
Flows.
complementary brilliantly, isn't it?
Yes.
She is a superstar, and has she done enough to maybe secure a second individual gold medal this week? But that was definitely right up there. That looked nearly, well, I'm sure she thinks that's probably one of the best she's done. It looked good, didn't it, Lee?
It did, it did. I think just towards the end, you could see them both getting slightly more tired, and there was just a few transitions that were not as clean as the ones at the start. The ones at the start took us breath away a little bit, and there was just some, but most of the compulsories were extremely well executed.
Well, she's coming out of the arena. Well, we've got Nicole Den Dulk's score to bring to you as Stinner leaves the arena. And here is the score of Nicole Den Dulk, just to what's it mean to her in the outcome. Well, she scored 74.573, and some good marks for artistic, and 81 from M. B wasn't so impressed on the technical, 68, but 74.573 is her score, and that now puts her into first place until we get confirmation of Stinner's score as to what that could be doing to her in the leaderboard. But what a performance from Nicole. But this, I think, will be pretty close between maybe her and Stinner. Well, we're waiting on. I tell you what, Stine Kastrup's got her horse and working quite brilliantly, because it looks like she's come in with the 78.713. Nothing wrong with her engine. The carburettor was in full flow, and a good effort from Stine Kastrup. But we will confirm her score in a moment. 78.713 puts her in the lead, thoroughly deserved, and it looks like she's going to back up a European gold medal in the freestyle with success here. Purring to success, Stine Kastrup, and it looks as if we could be on course for more tears at the medal ceremony from Stine, because she has thoroughly deserved it. There is confirmation that she's sitting atop the leaderboard on 78.713, and that was terrific to watch. Absolutely storming and powering into the lead. It felt good, looked good, as Lee said. Just one or two little sort of minor glitches, and I think you could only say they were very minor glitches.
And can I say, she's been producing this horse. This horse was a Grand Prix horse, which sounds fabulous and fantastic, but not needed for a Grade 1, Grade 2 horse. And she's not a pilot. She hasn't just been put on this horse and piloting around her. She's been producing this horse to stop it piaffing, passaging, and giving her lots of movements that are not required for years now. And that's admiration. That's a horse lady through and throughout.
Well, lovely to see. But coming in, the penultimate rider, probably not be thinking of medals. At the moment, the medal positions are occupied by Stine Kastrup with 78.713, Nicole Den Dulk on 74.573, Jana Kivimäki on 67.947. That's the 1, 2, 3. But remember, the final rider is the Austrian Peppo Puig, and who was second behind Yuli in Caen.
With a different horse.
But still, he was, you know, shows that he's already, of course, got a silver medal here this week.
He's a force to be reckoned with, a very talented rider.
Yeah, but next in, though, is Chloe Mislin from France, scored 66.735, finishing fourth in the individual. So here we go, just taking stock after that wonderful test from Stine. But how now can Chloe Mislin get on to end her week here in Tryon?
great power, just a little bit too much tension.
So our penultimate rider here in the Grade 2 classification, Chloe Mislin, comes to the end of her test. Always a hard act to follow when you're coming in behind Stinner, when you've sort of blown away the judges and everybody by the performance. It was always probably going to be a hard act, but just to obviously hope.
I think she rode to try and get a medal, to be honest, but I think it just then got translated with the horse with a degree of tension. She rode with power, and she was a nice balanced rider, but the horse was just a little bit too tight in the arena. Really, a lot of the power didn't come out as soft expression. It just came out as a little bit too contained at times.
From your perspective, this being your grade, to suddenly see it this side, does it give you ideas? Does it? I mean, presumably, when you're having to study this, you're at what you would be normally be taking on Stinner and Pepe. Does it give you a different perspective? Has it given you a different perspective?
It's calmed a lot of nerves, because I've had sports psychology like most of the athletes, and I get too nervous to watch my other competitors the days that I'm competing, because I look at them in the warming up arenas and they just all look much better than I do, and that's actually how I've won gold medals. You would think people would go, you gain confidence in winning gold medals and you believe that you're the best. I actually am the total opposite. I think everybody else is better and I need to try harder, but actually watch them in the arenas and the little errors that they make gives me confidence, really, that I'm not the only one that makes the errors.
Well, it's a good way of looking at it. Yes. But that's your competitive insecurities. You always want to be the best.
I always want to do better, and I always think everybody else is better than me.
Well, they've got a long way to catch up your 30-odd medals or so, haven't they?
Yeah, but every day's a new day.
Yeah, absolutely. New horse, new challenges. It's talk about the horsepower as well is equally significant, and finding the right horse that can complement your talents. Well, this man is a bit of a superstar in his own right, and been. Well, I think he was an endurance rider.
Eventer.
What?
He was an eventer.
Eventer.
He was.
And then I think eventing in the 2004 Athens, but someone was telling me that they even did endurance back in 1990.
I'm a little bit jealous. I'd like to do some endurance. Not in this heat and not in the humidity here, but maybe back in England I'd love to.
Well, I think yes, endurance is top topic. Top topic here.
Yeah.
But we'll move on.
Yeah, okay.
We'll go to Peppo Puig, though, who is trying to be a top performer here and win a gold medal. As I say, he's won a silver medal here. He was second in Caen 4 years ago, behind my co-commentator here, Lee Pearson, and clearly will be expected to go well, but can he find a performance to better Stinner Kastrup's excellent 78.947? And somehow I think he's gone to Vienna with some waltz.
He's a very calm rider, and it was a lovely entrance. The halt slightly off centre, but lovely, calm, well-balanced 8-metre vaulties. Straight into the leg yield. Such a professional. You could see he's got all the calm compulsories out of the way in the walk to keep his horse relaxed. And probably most of his scores, his highest scores, are in the walk. And you'll see when he trots, he maintains the horse in a lovely balance, but he does have difficulty with keeping the contact still. Remarkable how his horses go so well for him.
A true horseman.
Through and through. But if your eyes just focus on the horse and not Peppo, you see it's a very happy athlete. It's in an outline and an energy and a way of going that the judges like.
It's going to be close, isn't it?
Very. Its extensions are when they're highlighting the music. Serpentine was very regular, very equal. Maybe loss of balance going into the extensions. His horse just anticipates what's happening when we get onto that diagonal, which many horses do. Those pirouettes are not compulsory. They don't add any degree of difficulty, maybe a little bit more to the rider. Score at the end.
The final rider then in the Grade 2 classification is the individual silver medalist from the early part of the week, Peppo Pusch from Austria, and that was an excellent test. But now the moment over the next, well, the judges will be making their decision, but 78.947 was Stina Kastrup's. At the moment, Jana Kivimäki is in the bronze medal position, but I think that's not going to happen, because clearly there's three riders who seem to be a class apart in terms of score. With all due respect to the others, they were good tests, but not necessarily in the same ballpark as the top three, and I think Peppo Pusch will be in that top three. It's just, where is he going to be? But let's confirm Chloe Mislin's score, which has seen her go into 4th spot provisionally, 66.647. That's behind the Finnish rider Jana Kivimäki. So consistent scores for her. Now let's wait. That's confirmation of where she is and where the standings are now, and how you see that there is a bit of a gap between the top 3 in terms of, although we don't know Pepo's score, there's no reason to indicate that it won't be well into the 70s, but it's a question of where it is. So definitely 3 clearly. It's not been disrespectful to the others, and everyone did some good performance. You look at the young 18-year-old Soshi Yoshigoa, put in a good performance, and that is encouraging for the future. But clearly,
with the standard that it is now, you can't just do the movements. They've got to be extremely polished if you want to get into the top 3 and medal. So all the 7 riders so far, they've all done lovely tests and completed the compulsories and survived getting around the arena. That's quite difficult.
Well, and it is a sultry, humid afternoon. One more classification to come. That is the grade 3. And here we go with the score. Where are we going? It's going to be a 2nd silver medal for Pepe Puig this week. A 2nd successive silver medal at the World Equestrian Games, because he's finished 75.50, just ahead of Nicole Den Dulk. So Stina Kastrup is our gold medalist here. What a performance it was. It was hypnotic, it was brilliant, and 78.947 is the score. But Lee and I are going to take a little break, and as they prepare the arena again for the final 8 riders, which to determine the final gold medal then here in the para dressage. That was again a wonderful competition, but Stina Kastrup being absolutely brilliant in winning just a few moments ago.
Please now welcome forward the medalists.
So the medalists now for the grade 2 step forward.
FEI World Freestyle Championships.
And in position they are.
The winner of the bronze medal.
Bronze medalist
from the Netherlands.
for her 2nd bronze, but already a gold medal winner with the team competition. But Nicole Den Dulk steps forward for another bronze medal in the freestyle.
The winner of the silver medal is Peppo Puig from Austria.
And Peppo Puig steps forward. He was a silver medalist 4 years ago, and he's another silver medalist here.
The winner of the gold medal,
But the gold medalist.
champion is Stina Kastrup from Denmark.
So the smiling figure of Stina Kastrup comes forward onto the podium. The 2nd time celebrating gold medal success. And it was a very tearful Stina that received the gold medal on earlier in the week. But now, once again, the same presentation party, Marcella Paulsen of the International Paralympic Committee, to do the medal honours here, moving down to Peppo Puig of Austria in this grade 2. And now finally, that is one infectious smile. And there she is, receiving another gold medal to put round her neck.
We welcome Alan Mann.
And once again, Alan Mann and Sharon Decker step forward. Alan of Adequan, the sponsors here, and Sharon Decker, the Chief Operating Officer here at the World Equestrian Games.
Stepping forward on the sheet to present matches to the medalists.
And once again, Stephanie Lachat will come forward to present Longines watches to the medalists in this Grade 2. So now, once again, time for the national anthem, this time of Denmark, and for Stina Tange Kastrup. Holding back the tears there, Stina Kastrup. An emotional moment for the 24-year-old. So those are our medalists from the Grade 2 competition in the freestyle. Three very worthy recipients. And once again, the horses being given their moment in the spotlight. The horses, Horsebow Smarties, Sailors Blue and Wallace and OP.
That's his second silver medal, receiving individual. And Nicole Denville on the gold medal winning team and also the bronze individual medalist.